Okay, and we are live. This is Bald&Balding. I am Mike, the bald one.
Oh, hey, I'm Rosaire, the soon-to-be. Sorry, I just got a text from my daughter, and it says "WTF happened." The side of the
Sorry, guys, it's me.
the side of the computer just shattered.
There. Okay, got rid of the echo.
What's that?
Sorry, I had it on the YouTube channel on, so I was getting the echo like 4 seconds delay.
Oh, right. So yeah, so a computer just shattered in our house. So I don't know what that's about, but okay. Anyway, it'll wait for an hour.
Okay.
How are you?
We are here today with Phillip Martin. He is, as I put on Twitter, a dungeon master for over 20 years. He's an author of 2 fantasy books, and he's a certified public accountant. And if you would have asked me how many accountants write fantasy, I would have told you very confidently that number is probably 0. Welcome to the show, Phil. You've proved that I don't know a lot about anything, so welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
You proved Mike wrong. That's such a rare crowd to be in.
Although, we don't keep count anymore.
Certified public accountant, dungeon master. Well, I guess it does make a little bit of sense that you'd be the dungeon master as opposed to a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see behind me, Ro, up top here, the Dungeons and Dragons figures above my head. When I was 10 years old, that's the one thing I looked forward to in Saturday morning cartoons was the D&D. I didn't know what it was other than I liked the cartoon. So, yeah, I've been hooked ever since. And when I started playing D&D a few years after that, was immediately the storyteller, the dungeon master.
So you don't do a lot of this at work then?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish I could make a living at that. I'd do it.
Right? You might be able to. You just got to hang out in probably different circles than CPAs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Phillip, I know you got 2 books out so far with a 3rd one coming.
Yeah.
Tell us about your main character. Who is she and what is she like? Is she a demure, sensitive soul or something else?
Well, Cassandra Rho is the main character, okay? And she is born with strange abilities that she tries to figure out from the very beginning of the book. And it takes the whole story to figure out who she is and what she is. And in the early books, she goes through a lot of tough stuff that will, help shape who she's going to be. So it's a long story. I project, Mike, there'll probably be 8 to 10 books on this thing before I get it all out.
Okay.
But yeah, she's quite the character. She was actually a D&D character, going back to the D&D theme. And she was, when you roll, I don't know if you guys know anything about D&D, but when you make a character, you have the attributes. And her attribute on charisma was a 4. And to give people who are non-D&D people, the scale, it says 3 to 18 is normally the scale there. So she was not a friendly person. And I thought, this is going to be a terrible character to play. And so I did it. I made her. And it's one of the best characters I ever played because she was just constantly in everybody's hair, always complaining, always doing something.
She's a writer.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, that's where she came from. And the story, of course, is not D&D. It's my world, of course. My monsters, my kingdoms, and all that good stuff. But it's still the same concept with Cassandra. She goes through a lot and might not be the friendliest person, but there's a reason for it. All the stuff she goes through early on shapes her character.
So you said your first book. What's the title of your first book?
A Witch is Born.
Okay. You said that came out in 21. Why I guess, how did you come up to decide that now's the time to start writing a book? I mean, if you've been playing D&D for all these years, what was that catalyst?
Well, since I was probably 25 years old, which is 27 years ago, I had the idea to do it, but never thought I could really write. I mean, I'm not a writer. I'm a numbers guy, a CPA. So don't have any background, no training. And so as I progressed as a dungeon master, it made it easier to formulate stories. And so I sort of got a knack of doing that. And I'd say about 2011 or so is when I really got serious about, hey, I'm going to try this. And it took me about 10 years to write the first book. And like you mentioned, it was done in 2021. So I had this giant book, guys. It was my first 2 books was the first manuscript. My publisher made me split it in half because it's too big. So maybe that's why it took 10 years to write. But, at that point, I didn't know what to do. So, I didn't publish it until early 22. And then I had to redo the cover in early 23. So book 1's sort of been kicked around for a few years, but it's out. Book 2's out, and book 3 is going to be out in January, hopefully.
So you said you had a publisher. You're traditionally published?
No, this, and I'm not going to mention names or anything. This was a hybrid publisher.
Okay.
And I don't recommend that for any author who, if people don't know what that is. The first thing I did, to be honest with you, Rho, the first thing I did was call a copyright attorney and say, hey, what do I do? And he said, well, spend a little bit of money and get a box of books, and there you go. And I said, well, that's not what I want. I want to try to make it, So I didn't really get a lot of advice that I could follow, but I went on my own and found somebody and realized soon after that was not a good path to take. So, and one of the problems I had was my first cover was not a good cover for the genre. It looked like a kid's book. And I didn't know, because what I did as a CPA, I've got many clients. So I have an artist, tattoo artist, make the cover for me. And he did exactly what I wanted him to do. It's beautiful. It's really pretty cover. And it made people mad. They thought it was a kid's book, and it's not a kid's book. So, I learned cover makes everything.
Yeah. You're finding the learning curve on independent publishing still there then?
Yeah. I'm still learning every day.
Aren't we?
But I enjoy the writing, but all this other stuff's expensive and difficult. But
I think you've got a huge advantage over a lot of people being a CPA, though, because I think where most people, and Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, get kind of bogged down with this is the business side of it, the numbers and the money and all that. Perfectly happy to write the books and do all that, but when you start throwing the business part of it in, it just becomes a bit of a drag.
Yeah. And what's funny about it is, I have a lot of business experience, of course, but as a CPA, we don't advertise at all. My budget has zero money for advertising because our industry is all done word of mouth. If you're good, then people tend to tell their friends. With a book, it's totally different. It's all advertising. Yeah. And so, luckily I've had the funds to do the editing and get the books out, but it's lost money so far, unless somehow make it big.
Okay, everybody raise their hand who's made money so far.
Yeah, so tax write-off, right? But yeah, it's been expensive for me.
So first of all, we call this book and a beverage. So show us your book.
Okay. Well, I think Mike, what I'm reading right now is this one. This is our friend R.S. Belcher.
Yep, nice.
This is the Six Gun Tarot series. I'm on the 4th book of that one. It's been great. Rod's a great guy, and he's a great author.
I'm on the first one right now, actually. But
are you?
Yep.
I like it a lot. And I know you can't see, at least I don't think you can see over my shoulder, but I've got some books from Mike Molman that I'm going to start next. So I got that trilogy to look forward to on that one.
It's going to be 4 books come next month.
Nice.
Hopefully, or I'm going to die trying. One of them.
I'll be ready. But that's my book right now. I'm almost done with the 4th book.
Okay. Rho, you got a book?
I don't. No, I'm sorry. The only thing I have around me at my desk right now is my mouse pad, which is big. You can see how it's been used.
Nice.
Well, I'll go then. I just finished this book. It was SPIFBO semifinalist, and this is so not what I normally read. But the Werewolf of Whitechapel, and you can't see because of but this is written in 1800s England, which is not something I'm interested in. Typically, if it's a female heroine, I'm like, well, I'll give it a try, but I'm ready to cut bait pretty quickly. Loved it. Absolutely wonderful. I can't explain why exactly. She talks about, knitting and making garments for the mistress that she works for. And I'm like, I don't know why it works. I have no idea.
Maybe she's tapped into something on you there, Mike.
Well, the setup is that all the royal families in Europe are some kind of paranormal monster. So Germans are werewolves, Russians are vampires, then there's sirens, except the English family, which is supposed to not be any monsters at all. And then she gets into the royal household and finds out they're all werewolves. They've just been hiding it from the population for forever. And I don't know. I'm not a big paranormal person. I'm not, you tell me werewolves and I yawn. I don't know why this book works, but it was great.
Cool.
What made you pick it up?
It made it SPIFBO to semifinals, and actually it got to the final two in that group. And they're like, okay, out of these two, we're going to go with this other one. But, these were both great books. And I tried the first one. I didn't like it. It's, if you like Oliver Twist and Fagin and those types of characters, again, this does not resonate with me. So I tried that and I was like, putting it down. But, they went on and on about how Werewolf of Whitechapel was so interesting. So I was like, I'll give it a try. It's cheap. I got it on audio and loved it. I haven't bought the next two books in the series yet, but that's because I'm waiting for my 2 credits on the 11th.
Nice.
So Mike, riddle me this. You were in SPIFBO.
Yep.
And you made a slightly earlier exit than this person.
Yeah.
Would you rather have made your early exit, or would you rather be the second place person in a group?
Well, so they've finally, November 1, they had to have all the finalists. So on October 31st, the final finalist was named. But there's 56 semifinalists, so would have loved to have been one of them. This woman was a semifinalist, and she got second place in her group of 30. Mine was actually they're like, we're going to eliminate 4 in no particular order, but then my book was the first one because they went alphabetically. So I was the first one eliminated in my group.
The first loser.
Yeah. So I was in 30th place in my group. So, you
made it into the competition, man. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just started the booktubers. They talk about SPIFBO September, where they would only read SPIFBO entries for the whole month of September. And I was like, I'm going to try that. And as you can see, I read so very few books that it took me till October to read this one. So, but highly recommend it.
Nice.
Phillip, do you do NaNoWriMo? And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's the month of November is National Novel Writers Month. You haven't gotten into that yet?
Not yet, my friend. No, like I said, I'm still learning. Very green here. But yeah, so what is this part of that SPIFBO, Mike, that you were talking about?
No, SPIFBO is a independent author contest. The ultimate winner gets a selfie stick. So it's not about the prize. It's about the notoriety and the advertising.
Right.
And I tell people I was not on Twitter until May 18th when I got signed up for SPIFBO, and they said everybody's on Twitter talking about this. I'm like, well, I guess I'll do a Twitter account, and now I have over 1,400 followers.
Wow.
What is it? 6 months later. So just my profile's been raised. I've sold over 600 books this year.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I won't tell you how many given away because that's much, much higher, but 600 actually sales. So it's been nice little bump. And now that SPIFBO's into the finalists and I'm nowhere to be seen, I'm wondering, am I going to go back down? Did I, make it permanent?
Right.
But if nothing else, I've made a bunch of connections with booktubers and other authors. And we started this channel just to try to, get out in the community more. So
yeah, that's great.
So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, we talked about that before. I remember.
Yep. And this year they had 300 entries after 41 minutes. So get up early.
When does this thing happen, Mike?
May 18th was when you signed up, and it's officially supposed to start June 1st.
Okay.
So it'll be, I mean, they'll have it on the website to, sign up here.
Mhm.
And yeah, they had the graph of, it took, 3 days, it took, 24 hours, it took, 6 hours. And then now it's down to 41 minutes. And people are like, wait, I'm in Australia. This is at, 3 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
So they're talking about staggering it, but I don't know that helps really.
Right.
But something. I got in probably the last time it was, you could get in if you just wanted to without
Right.
having to go to extraordinary means. So,
Okay.
and it's always the first book of the series or a standalone. So I won't have anything else for a couple years to try again. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Now, Philip, you said your series, you've got a book coming in January, and you're thinking about a 12-book series.
8 to 10 probably. Right.
Yeah.
When I first started this thing, it was going to be about 8 books. As I got it all in my head, I just need to get it on paper. But as I write, it gets a little bit further behind each time. So it's probably gonna be closer to 10 books. I don't know if I'll reach 12 or not, but.
So is it safe to say that you do not plot out your books in advance?
No, I just sort of know what I need to put on paper. It's got the whole story in my head. I just don't have the time to get it all down quick. So it's taking me some time here, but I'm lucky in the regard I don't have writer's block or don't have to outline much. I kind of know what I need to write.
Oh, it's coming for you.
and imposter syndrome. Don't forget imposter syndrome.
Yeah, but so far so good. I mean, like I said, I like the writing aspect of this. It's a
the writing aspect is great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you started looking at going out and either advertising online or start to go to some events out in the big wide world? Or
it's hard, doing the book part time. If it paid the bills, it'd be different. But I got to be here so much, and of course, like I told Mike, the first 3.5 months of the year, I can't do anything with the book hardly because of tax season.
Tax season, yeah.
But what people don't understand is there's also major deadlines in September and October. And so there's really about half the year you're tied up here working overtime. But yeah, that's how I met Mike. We had a little convention in Roanoke and I met him there. So I'm trying to get out and do some things. It's just, it's hard. But yeah, and I've spent a lot of money to advertise in different ways. Like Mike said, I've given my book away on Amazon, the first book for free, and it does really well when I give it away.
Yeah.
It does really well.
Give them away.
So I was proud of that. But, as far as just getting out there and keeping my face in the public, eye, it's been tough for me. I told Mike before you came on, before we started this, that I'm not tech savvy to begin with. So, I was on social media for the book. But before that, I never was on social media. So, I might break the internet now while we're doing this. I mean, I'm not tech savvy. So it's hard. It's hard for me. And, I'd love to have a younger person do all my social media. I'd love that. But there again, it's just more cost.
Right.
Rho, was it Kevin Mooring? You interviewed him and he said that my daughter does all my social media. She won't even tell me the passwords.
Yeah, it was actually.
I'm so jealous of him. I'm like,
Yes.
no, that's what I need.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's a horror writer who's just like subcontracted it all out to his 13-year-old or 15 or whatever she is.
That's awesome.
And, he's blissfully ignorant about all of it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that's why you should have kids.
Yes. Yeah, I got 2 boys, but they're in their 20s and they're not interested in this stuff. So, no help.
So you're empty nesting?
Yeah, we're close. I have my youngest one still living with me. He's 22. But that's going to change hopefully in the next year or so. I'm actually moving out. So he's kicking me out. So if things go as planned, I'll have an empty nest this time next year.
So are you going to just work strictly on your series, or do you have other thoughts in your head about something else? Are you starting to already look at maybe branching out into a different series or book standalone?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I want to get this monster done first, I think,
Yeah.
and then see what happens. It all depends on how successful these books are, probably. Because once I get this done, and I'm still selling 2 books a year, it's probably not going to be worth pursuing another
Really
series.
big books. There's a couple of different thoughts on this, though, Phillip. I mean, there's a obviously the school that you are, where you're sitting there going, yeah, I need to bang out this 10-book series.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's folks that say, especially if you're not selling any, who's waiting on book 3 other than you?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe do something else and give people several different potential entry points into your writing.
Yeah.
And, see which one takes off.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely considered it. Like I said, I've been doing the storytelling for so long with the D&D that, I come up with a lot of different things. So if I could do it, it's just all, time and money.
Well, I can tell you, again, Ron Belcher, when we were at the Comic-Con talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
I told him this 4th book has been such a struggle. I started writing it December of last year, so it's unforgivable. It's taken 11 months and counting.
Yeah.
But I told him, he's like, what else are you writing? I'm like, just writing this series. Like, you wrote 4 books in the series in a row? It's like, my God, that grinds you down to dust. Do something else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, as soon as this book is done, I'm going off and writing my sci-fi series that I wanted to write, at least, and then I'll alternate.
Yeah, that's cool, because I know Rod's got several different things going on, doesn't he? Yeah, maybe that's a good thing to do. I got to consider that.
Yeah. So before we forget, it is Book and a Beverage. So what beverage do you have today?
Well, what's funny is I don't drink, guys. And when I say I don't drink, I mean not just alcohol. I just never drink anything. And I didn't realize that till recently in my older years. And so, about 6 years ago, I got a kidney stone. Have you ever had one of those before or not? But don't get one. But anyway, my beverage is this.
Nice.
I'm lucky. You see how much I've drank so far today. I want to try to drink some. I think my body's mostly sand instead of water, would be my guess at this point. But yeah, I don't drink a lot of anything. I try to stick to the water when I do.
Well, I am drinking Corona, as
Nice.
I normally do. I buy an 18-pack and it lasts at least a month, usually 2. So
Nice.
I'm kind of with you, Mike. I've got the land shark.
Nice.
And a 12-pack of this. I bought a 12-pack a couple months ago, and there's probably still 9 of them in there.
Wait, you mean your kids don't drink it?
Well, on the odd occasion he comes home, he will. But the wife is a wine drinker mostly, and I prefer whiskey, but this was closer, so.
Fair. Okay. Well, that was exciting.
That was.
So
stick with the theme, though. My God, we're going to do this. What's our audience looking like, Mike?
What's that?
What's our audience looking like?
We have 1 viewer. Hello, viewer.
Tell them to come on in.
If you dare, leave a comment.
Yeah, see who it is. Let's make fun of them.
So, Phillip, while we're waiting, tell us about, where is your book set in? Is it traditional medieval world? I know you said it's your world, but what's the world like?
Yeah, it's real similar to like a Game of Thrones type setting, so medieval would be the thing. And again, I don't know if you can see over my head there, got maps and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotten done. And so it's been fun creating the different cities and the terrains and whatnot. But yeah, I'd say medieval is the dress code on this book.
How many words is your first book?
Well, like I said, originally it was a whole lot, but I think the first book was like 425.
425,000 words?
That's pages. 150,000 words, 160,000, like that. But yeah, I think when I first took this thing to the publisher I had, it's like 375,000 words, something like that. It was something crazy. So
wow.
That's why it took 10 years to write it.
So you've got a detail thing going on.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm one of these authors that doesn't really describe a lot of stuff. There's just so much story to tell that I cut it off. What I do now, every book I cut off at 150,000 words if I can. I could keep going forever, but I try to cut it off so it's a normal sized book.
So would you qualify yours as like lit RPG? Because I mean, if you've got such a D&D influence in it, does it kind of follow that? Does your character go up levels, that kind of thing? Or no? So
it's just a story based in a fantasy world, fantasy realm. So the main thing with D&D, the way I always told the story, and we were real serious for a long time. We had several guys. It was about 4 or 5 of us that would get together once a month. We would get together here in my office, and we would play from like 8 a.m. till 2 a.m. And we rolled the dice probably 2 or 3 times. We told the story. The main thing was the story. And so to me, the leveling up was fun. You always want to advance your characters, but the story was our main focus, and we did really, really well with that. So it was an easy transition to this, just telling the story.
Yep.
Did COVID have a part in you getting your book done in 21?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, I really started trying to finalize the book. I started in 2011, and it just happened to wind up in 2021, But, since then, since I've gotten one published, now I feel the pressure to keep getting them out. So I'm trying to get one out per year at this point.
So did you feel a time over this 10-year period, was there ever a point in like 2016 where you kind of went, what the hell am I doing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, it takes so much time to do this and I had no end. I didn't know how to do anything. Once I wrote the story, I was just like, well, I actually sat there for 4 months before I did anything with it. I didn't know what to do. So, yeah, there's lots of times where I'd go like a month without writing anything during those years, But as it got closer, I was like, well, I'm almost done. I think I'll try to finish it. And so the last couple of years, I worked real hard at it. The first 8 were sporadic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a long road.
That first one always takes a little extra time.
Yeah, especially since I wrote 2 together. Just wrote a huge story.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't know it was 2 books, but
can't imagine scrolling through 300,000 words to try to find something.
What's funny as a side note to all that, when I do get negative feedback on the first book, it's usually people saying, hey, there's a ton of cliffhangers here. You left all of us hanging. The story was okay, but nothing's resolved. And it's funny because that was the halfway point of the book. So it's sort of hard, and to stop it there. But I think that's why it's so evident in book 1. So it's kind of funny. I do get that feedback sometimes.
Well, if it makes you feeling better, the number one feedback I get is your main character is so unlikable. So, it could be worse.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to start your series, Mike. I really am. I'm going to start that next. So I'll let you know what I think.
Well, the main character, if you know your Myers-Briggs, he's INTJ because I'm an INTJ. So I'm like, you know what? I know how he will react in every situation because I've been there.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, I hate your main character, I'm like, don't take it personal. Don't. Of course, I added on to it. I was like, you know what? I want him to be that 20-year-old that we all know when they're like, you won't believe what Grommy did. And you're like, oh, God, what did he do now? That's what I was shooting. So, I did have a couple coworkers talking. They're like, yeah, I mean, the main character, it's just Mike. This is just like wish fulfillment. I'm like, you think I want to be a 20-year-old idiot? That is my wish? So nice. I never told them I overheard them. I'm like, well, now I know what they think of me.
So for those folks who, amidst our enormous viewing audience, who may not be Myers-Briggs aficionados, what is INTJ?
So introvert over extrovert, and I was 90% introverted. N is intuitive over N, which is what? S, which is sensing, which is more you need to be able to see it, feel it, intuitive is more you can kind of make leaps that sometimes are accurate. T is thinking over feeling, definitely a T over an F. And then the last one is J or P, which is judging or perceptive. And when I did the test, the last time I did it, I was like, well, 90% introvert. So that's like my defining characteristic. Then I got to the end. I was like, nope, I am 95% judgmental.
Yeah, nailed it. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. And so when people tell me, Gromy's arrogant, I'm like, he's not arrogant. He's not arrogant. I know you think that in chapter 1, but he's not. He's frustrated and he's an idiot.
He's a cat.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah,
nice.
He's a cat. 2 functioning brain cells and not much else going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to reading it, Mike. Really do.
Yeah. So who else is in your book other than Cassandra?
Oh, there's lots of characters.
Does she go off on her own, or does she have a band with her?
No, there's a group of people, some, antagonists, a lot of those, and then, some friends as well. So I used some of our characters from the D&D campaign, and that was interesting to do. So I wanted to have some of them in there. So there's lots of different, I could always branch out on this book if the series is done, and I could tell a story about, the King and Queen of Palisade, or, there's so many different ones. I could go, there's so many characters. So yes, not alone.
That's why when Rose said it's going to be 12 books, right? Because Rose, I know mine was going to be a 4-book series. Now it's a 7-book series. And there's an 8th book I want to write like 20 years after the fact, and then 2 prequels. So, if you think it's 8 books now,
that's what I was thinking.
10, 12, yeah, that's the curse of being a writer.
Yeah.
To be fair, Mike, the series I'm not working on right now, in my free kind of prequel to it, I said it's going to be a 12-book series. And then in the book itself, it sets up for an 11-book series. And now it's like, okay, it's going to be 5.
Wow.
And I have no idea when books 4 and 5 are going to roll around, but there will be something else between them, because like you, Philip, it's one of those, at this point I'm writing it for myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
There are people who have read it, but they're few and far between. So let's write something else, and maybe that'll work.
Yeah. Okay. You might be onto something there. I haven't considered that a lot, but I haven't.
That's not a me. That's other people who are onto that. There's a lot of really good podcasts out there. Mm-hmm. For people who are into the writing business, especially folks who are new to it. Mm-hmm. There is just a ton of good information from thousands of people who have all been doing this, and a lot of them are actually doing it as their job now. Which is kind of the dream. It's always the thing we're all kind of shooting for. I think I don't know a lot of people who want to get rich off it, but it'd be kind of cool to be able to make a car payment out of it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Or not lose money.
Or that, right? Just keep it self-sustaining would be good. Yeah. Hey, so you're a CPA. Can I deduct this as a business expense?
Yes. Now all your accounting questions will be answered.
Right?
Yeah,
I just thought about it. We're
in a very legally binding way. Go.
I would say yes.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Start drinking
some more taxes. We'll talk about that. Right?
So, Ro, we need to call each other more often just to drink beer so we can deduct it as
drinking Johnny Walker Blue.
But yeah, it's 2 different worlds for sure. Being a CPA versus being creative. It's just.
But that's got to be good for you, right? To have that kind of outlet where you're both sides of your brain get a workout, so you're not walking around like this all the time.
Yeah, I love accounting, obviously, but having that creative outlet, like I said, when I started D&D, I was 15 years old, so I liked that before I liked the accounting stuff. So yeah, I love that outlet, and my significant other, Mike knows Liz, met her. Crash City Con. We both play games at least once a week, board games, card games, things like that. So always have something going on to give me a break from the numbers.
That's important to have someone in your life who will do that with you. I was mentioning to my wife the other night, sitting upstairs, like, yeah, babe, she said, you got to you need to start doing some volunteering or something because you need to go out and be around some people. I said, well, maybe I can start a D&D game. She goes, no, you need to do something with adults. Right.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So I had a friend's kid come and help me with some yard work last year. And then I was like, Jacob, put that down. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm used to a house full of dogs. And if you just say, don't do that to a dog, that means, so I every time I speak, I shout. I'm like, I'm not mad at you. Honestly, I just realized I'm talking to humans now. I don't have to shout and be demonstrative.
Nice.
But did the dogs listen to you?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to know what I had to deal with last night at 11:30?
No.
Okay. I was going to go to bed.
I have a pretty good idea.
I was going to go to bed, and I went and Shadow got in bed. How they nest and they like pull everything into a circle. Well, he did all that, and then he put his new best buddy, the dead rabbit, right in the center of my bed.
Nice.
So at 11:30, when I'm waiting to go to sleep, I'm disposing of a dead body, and then there's blood on the covers. So I guess I should change the sheets before I go to bed. So I'm doing laundry now because I have a demon dog.
Nice. Well, I've got 5 cats, so mine's a little bit of a different story, but we have the same issue.
So you have nothing on any surface because it just gets knocked down on the floor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A cat will go up and just look at something and look at you while he pushes it off on the floor. It's like, what you going to do?
Yep. Yeah, I got one cat that loves to knock over water bottles. Not these things, So if you don't have your lid on it, if you happen to leave your lid off, just knock it over. That's all. That's the only thing she knocks over, just the water. For some reason, that triggers her.
It's the only thing you drink, man. Try it with something else.
But I'm talking about anything on the shelf or desk they don't really mess with, but they see that water bottle, they go after it.
Yeah, I think our cats have been watching like Antique Roadshow or something because they only knock over the expensive stuff. They're like, oh yeah, that's nothing. Ooh, look at this, China.
Yeah, that's not good.
So what's the new year going to bring for you other than the new book? What are you going to try to do differently in 24? What's your plan?
I don't know, Ro. I need to do a better job of staying out there where people can see me, and I'd like to do like Mike does, and go to a bunch of different conventions and whatnot.
No, you don't. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's a great idea.
That is a fantastic idea until you listen to Mike and says, man, this is a great show. You need to go to this.
Yeah, and then it flops.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
I got 2 specific shows I went to on Mike's recommendation this year.
Yeah.
Look, Phillip, I can tell you, for me, my absolute best show this year was Crash City Con.
Really?
Which I was expecting to sell like 6 books the entire time, and it ended up being my best show of all, which is crazy. Of course, I'm like, it's probably the same people every year, so they're not going to have to buy my book again. So next year I'll sell 6, but I'm still going to go.
Well, you say that, but it's kind of weird, Mike. I mean, I've been to some shows every year for the last few years and do fairly well at them every year. I mean, yeah, you're kind of at a disadvantage, right? Because you're selling the same book number 1 that you've sold for the last few years. But if you put out, like Phillip was saying, 1 book a year, they'll come up, folks will come up and we at Cincinnati, I noticed a couple people said that to you, Mike. They came up and said, hey, I got your books last year. Do you have a new one out? Right. So they're going to follow you.
I also had several say, yeah, I bought your first book last year. Still haven't read it. And then they walk away.
Nice. That's very self-affirming.
Yeah. Thanks. I was starting to like myself, but you fixed that. Thanks.
Right.
I was starting to have self-esteem, but you've taken care of it.
Yeah. Being a writer will fix that in a hurry.
Yeah.
You better have plenty of your own to start with because the tank gets pretty low.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So before I forget, just to let everyone know, the whole one person watching us,
Have they told us who it is yet? Have they said their name?
They have not, but when I look at it, it says live viewers Bald&Balding, so it might just be me.
Excellent.
But it did say have 0 before, now it says 1, so I don't know. You're asking technology questions, and I'm over 50. So next week I'm going to have all 3 of my books free, Monday through Thursday.
Wow.
And the one service, they guarantee me 2,500 downloads.
Okay, so Mike, what are the titles of your books?
So the first book is Becoming a Druid. The second book, well, 1.5, because I'm terrible at numbering books, is Sins and Sorrows. And the third book is going to be To Speak with Elders. And I'm doing 2 different services next week. One, I said, they guarantee me 2,500 downloads of Becoming a Druid. So I went ahead and put my other 2 books on free. Just if you go to Amazon and look, you'll see everything is free that I've written. So I'm hoping to get more than 25, like maybe 4,000. That's the dream. And then the second service I used before, but I did 2 on the same day. So I don't know if this service gave me a lot of free or downloads or if it was the other one. So now I'm doing one the 6th through the 9th, and then the 10th I'm doing the other service so I can see, is my money being spent wisely or am I throwing it away again? Because, being an author, you like to throw money away just to put the pressure on yourself.
Of course.
Shovel it out the door. That's how you judge success, right? Oh, those saps like George R.R. Martin who've got so much money coming in they can't even write anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, their life is very hard. I'm not bitter.
Not at all. Yeah, you wouldn't change it for the world. Anyway. That's fair. All right, you got anything else there, Michael?
Not off the top of my head. Philip, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
I don't think so, guys. And I just appreciate y'all having me on here. Sorry I didn't bring in all the viewers for you.
I think it's more a reflection of us.
Okay.
Than anything else.
Well, I do appreciate it, guys. I really do.
So before you go, your D&D, do you still play with your same buddies for the last 20 years or so?
Yeah. Yeah, we still play. As a matter of fact, we're getting together tomorrow.
Nice.
So I'm going to play a little bit of stuff and probably board games. And we play a lot of Magic the Gathering, too, the card game.
So I have to ask, because I am a D&D virgin, but my oldest brother has been playing now with the same people for over 40 years. And because it was necessary, they got a website. And every time after they play, they have to go and write what happened.
Yeah.
So they have, at least a decade of notes on what adventures they've done. Do you go crazy like this and have a website dedicated to your D&D?
No website, but we did used to do summaries. I used to do a summary of the adventure and we'd write that down just so we could remember. So I got some of those old notes from when I was a young person, which is interesting. But now with time constraints, I don't have time to do it. But it's interesting looking back at those because, some things you forget. That's why you want to write it down.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting looking at those old notes. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not tech savvy, so I have no website to do that with. But it'd be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Well, you got to go get yourself a social media account tonight so you can put a link to this video in it and,
Well, yeah, I'm on social media, and I did advertise it a little bit today before we did this. So, yeah, I tried, Rho. Again, I need a small person. Yeah, I need a younger person doing this for me. But, I do appreciate it, guys. I really do. And, Mike, good luck next week with your book giveaway, buddy.
And, Philip, where are you at? Are you at anywhere between now and the end of the year?
No, as far as doing a show or anything?
Yeah, or signings. I saw you did signing, last weekend?
Last weekend, yeah. There's a little place in Roanoke, right downtown Roanoke, called Book No Further. It's a little bookstore. It's awesome. And Dolores down there has been really good to me. And she showed me, said, hey, guess what? You need to switch your publisher when I was doing the hybrid publishing. So she sort of saved me. So I owe her a lot, and I do signings there every once in a while. But that's probably going to be it for this year. Because now I got the usual pattern of doing all my continuing professional education. I've got tons of classes I got to do these next 2 months. And, get ready for the holidays, things like that.
Rho, how about you? What do you got on tap?
I am going to Statesville, North Carolina tomorrow morning for the Statesville Pumpkin Festival.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then on Black Friday, Mike and I will both be up in Harrisonburg, Virginia, at the Valley View Mall.
Okay.
And that's actually, I've been there the last 2 years. It's a really good event. And you hear the word mall and you think, vast, open, empty spaces. But man, the Harrisonburg Valley View Mall, it's constant traffic for 13 hours.
That's great.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's great. Hope y'all do well. Yeah, but that's something I need to do more. I need to get out there more and do more stuff. But time constraints are always going to be against me.
Yep. And just for the record, next weekend I'm going to be at the Hanover Book Festival, which is at VFW in Mechanicsburg. It's 10 to 4. I tried to get in last year and they were full, so I stalked them this year to make sure I could get in. So hopefully I sell some books, but we'll see.
Virginia?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they have all genres, but it's only authors, and they usually have like 30, 35 authors.
Wow.
And it's free to get in, and you just wander around and buy books. And so, yeah, I went last year to a guy I knew who did a podcast, and I was like, I wanted to be on his podcast, so I went and I bought his stupid book, and he's like, oh, no, I don't do that anymore. And I'm like, it's a book about vampires. I don't do paranormal. So
you just called it his stupid book. He could be the guy watching this.
I didn't say his name.
Apologize, man.
That's because I'm old and I don't remember his name. So
nice. That sounds like a cool event. So good luck with that. Yeah, it's great.
Yep. So, Phillip, thank you for being on Bald&Balding and taking our abuse.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
If nothing else, I'll see you at Crash City Con, if not sooner.
That's right. Hopefully sooner.
And
I'll probably bump into you at Target or something.
Yeah, I'll see you. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's in early August, there's either the Roanoke Stepping Out in Blacksburg, or the Roanoke is the Big Lick Comic-Con. They're the same weekend. So
they're always the same weekend. We gotta talk to the guy at Big Lick and say you need to move this.
So yeah, I will maybe see you there if you can do that in August. So
okay, I'll look into it, my friend.
Cool. Well, have fun writing. I hope you get another chapter or 2 written.
Thank you.
This weekend at least.
Yeah,
and
give it a shot.
Looking forward to book 3.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Rho.
All right,
Appreciate
take care, Phillip.
All right, take care.
Okay, goodbye.